What's going on, everyone?
What's up, people?
Can you hear me all right, Caleb?
I'm hearing you loud and clear.
All right, got some feedback there for a second, but I think it's all gone. Hopefully you guys don't hear that on your end, but it sounds like it's all good now.
Rock on. Good morning, Scouties. Did you have your Scouties today?
Haha. I like that. I got 54 of you guys on total right now. That's awesome. Thank you guys for joining in. We'll give people a few minutes to kind of jump on before I really dive in here, but
yes, we are socially distanced. How do I comment back to people, or can I?
You should be. Do you see a thing to comment at the bottom right or not?
I can do private chat. That might work.
Private chat, I'm assuming, is to just me. Huh. I'll have to look at here. I don't know if you can. You might have to throw up Facebook in another window there and just mute it.
That's all right.
Yeah, I got a private chat from you. What's going on?
Nope. All good. Well, we're
messing with the new software. Yeah, Roamer, the Roamer uses. We have a different one we normally use, which is really advanced, but with advanced stuff comes a lot of different things that can break and a lot of different ways you can mess it up. And this is just really simple plug and play. So, yeah, we're going to try it out and see. Yeah, look at that Scout IQ hat. We got Scout IQ merch all over the place right now.
We're going to give this one away on the call.
Ooh, I like that.
It's this is the color of the Home Depot boxes. This is just a sample. My logo guy, my embroidery guy, threw out for me. Brought it to our golf trip, actually. It is a tannish hat, flex fit, and it's a small to medium. I've got a large noggin, so it doesn't even fit me. But if you are small to medium and you actually like that color scheme, hit us up, and we'll maybe pick a winner at the end of the call here.
Yeah, one other housekeeping thing right now with the new software we're using. If you're on Facebook watching this, look in the description for the video. There'll be a little link that goes to the software we're using. If you click that link and give it permission, it'll show us, Caleb and I, your profile picture and your username on Facebook, because right now it just says Facebook user and then your comment underneath it since you haven't approved it. So if you want us to see your comments and who you are, click that link. Otherwise, everyone on YouTube, we automatically see who you are. I guess YouTube just invades privacy. Facebook just wants to ask first. So something like that.
I'm going to try and pull it up on Facebook here to just see who's making the comments. Otherwise, we just see Facebook user.
It's kind of fun to guess based on the comment. I can look at a few of these and kind of guess who's leaving it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a couple we could just guess at. I'm going to leave it muted there and bring it up in a new tab here. So we'll be there. We'll be good.
Do you guys have any toilet paper? See that comment right there on the screen?
I've got plenty. John Muscarello's in the house. Ben Miller, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, I like that. Like the hat too. It's pretty good. Got it going on there. Randall. Who else is on here right now? Ben Miller. How's it going?
All right, pull it off in a different tab so I can.
Made my first sale and now this. Boss lady. That's awesome. Boss lady. I like.
Yeah, we're gonna blame that on you then. You made the sale and caused everything to crash.
Something like that.
Bill Martlink, I've heard of that guy. Says, hey, Jason Sloan, what's up, guys? Renita says, hat, LOL. I guess that means you might want one.
Looks like they're socially distanced.
We are.
We're keeping our distance from each other a little bit. We're not sitting on the couch right up against each other like we normally are for these live streams. I don't know why we're not doing that right now, Caleb. We could be. We could be on the couch right next to each other.
You know, ever since, yeah, I just don't want to get sick, you know. Bill says no parties here. Yeah, we're trying to keep this to under 10 people at a time.
I like that. We're just using duds for toilet paper. That's one way to go about it.
I was actually going to ask Bill because I'm sure they get a fair amount of duds in there as well. There's got to be some way to turn books into toilet paper, right?
Something like that. I accidentally started a watch party. No parties here. There's always a party here. You can start a watch party. There's no problem with that.
Nothing wrong with that. All right. Well, if you guys keep throwing comments in there, we'll keep engaging. Matthew, what have you been reading? So obviously we're all kind of stuck in Quarantineville. I know California shut the state down. I think Texas did something similar. Most restaurants are drive-through only. This is going to cause havoc on the school system. Most schools are out right now. Most colleges are going to online only. And we'll see if they recover, or if they just realize they can do online and maybe that's the way they should just stay for a long time to come. So lots of implications in the economy. Obviously, if you have a retirement portfolio that's been dropping rapidly, looks like it's holding some resistance at 20,000 for the Dow Jones, and we'll see if it sticks there and comes back up. I don't want to give a lot of stock tips. It's not really my forte, but if you guys do, if you are self-employed, if you run your own 401ks, IRAs, etc., and you have some money that you're going to be putting in throughout the year, one strategy I had, my former life for one summer, just an internship, was a day trader, and I was not that good. I love numbers, I love stocks and everything, but I was not that good of a day trader. Turns out the emotions come into play quite a bit. But I still dabble, I still enjoy, I still like talking to day traders. But the company I worked for, it was a guy out of California, and this was back when the market probably was in the 12 to 13,000 range, somewhere in there, and it dropped all the way down to about 6, if memory serves me right. So it cut half. It dropped 50%. What they did is they set aside money, and they said every 1,000 points that the market drops, we're just going to buy more. So they took 10% chunks of their money and said, we're going to put 10 grand in the market this year. So every time the market dropped 1,000 points or went on sale, they just kind of bought as it went down. And then I think as it went back up, they kept putting the 10% in just to kind of stage the purchases. So if you do have some free capital right now, if that's something you're going to be investing in, it is a good opportunity to be buying. I don't really know what's driving it. There's a lot of government conspiracy theories. Travis Wren, I'm talking about you. So
I really hope he's on this.
He's got some great conspiracy theories. If you want to check out his Facebook feed, tread lightly. Amazon would shut down his feed if they saw it. But yeah, so check that out. We've got some questions coming in, and we'll start answering some of those as well. But while we're sitting in the quarantine, Matthew, what books have you been reading? I've got a couple in front of me, but what have you been reading lately?
So currently I'm actually not reading anything. I'm going through a course right now. So back when we did our Turn the Page event in Austin, I got the opportunity to meet with this entrepreneur that had some success, and he'd made kind of a system for putting your goals down kind of on one sheet of paper and reading them back to yourself each day, and kind of the science behind why it works. Anyways, he had a course he used to have online about how he teaches this formula to people. He took that course offline, and now he just does one-on-one mentorship with people. But he let me back into the course they had online since he'd pulled it offline. He just gave me the link to look at it. So I'm actually going through that course right now, and it's kind of a really cool way of synthesizing your life down to kind of one sheet of paper and talking about relationships, business, spiritual, fitness, all these kind of different aspects of your life. And I'm going through this really large kind of questionnaire right now where I'm answering kind of hard questions to kind of weed out what I believe in all of these different areas to kind of synthesize this down to almost like a one-page mission statement. So right now I'm going through that. There's like a lot of content with it that I'm writing a little bit, then going through content, and that's kind of replaced a book for me at the moment, going through that. And it's kind of helped get some clarity in some of the downtime and being at the house and stuff like that. It's nice to kind of refocus somewhere else, and that's a kind of a good way to focus. And I see this downtime as a way to really focus on personal development and figure out what's important. That way you know what to focus on right now and going on to the future as things go back up. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing at the moment, but I kind of need another book to go through right after this is done. So
that sounds awesome. I'd love to, well, one, I hope I make your one sheet of paper somewhere. And any big takeaways, like anything you're learning right now? So or like a hard question in there?
I'm still going through right now. One of the really annoying things about this course, the way he used to host the course on, it's called Thinkific. It's a place that you host courses online. Anyways, the way they structured it is that there's a setting on that course thing where you can make it so there's like week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, like normal courses. It actually locks you out of the future weeks until that date comes up in the calendar. So I'm going through it, but right now I'm locked out of future ones. So I'm currently stuck on the phase of putting everything into the questionnaire, which takes a while. After that, it's the next course that I'll be learning is how to actually break that down into actionable things and put that on my one sheet of paper to go over every day. So I'm halfway through it right now. So I'm sure I'll have more takeaways after that. But I think the biggest thing is takeaways that a lot of these things, we say we want to be successful. We try and do things each day to make ourselves more successful, whether it be just in business or family and things like that. But often we don't know what our goal is. We don't know really where we're aiming for. And we don't have a clear way of knowing what's moving the needle in our lives right now. And oftentimes I'm sure you have this all the time too, Caleb, where you feel like you're busy all day, you've worked straight through, and then at the end of the day, you're like, I did a lot, but I don't know if anything really got moved forward, because that focus isn't really narrowed down on what it needs to be. And so I'm really trying to use this as an opportunity to narrow down my focus and what's actually moving the needle in the different areas of my life. And I think it's just important to think through that, whether you're doing a course or anything else. Just write down some of these things and kind of figure out a direction to go and what's working and what's not. Because if you're anything like me, I focus on a lot of things that don't work just because they feel good, and making yourself busy sometimes feels like you're making progress, but at the end of the day, it's not always the same.
100%. No, it's I often think that there's, my strengths, but also weaknesses. You have like the fear of missing out, or like the opportunity cost, or what are we maybe missing? And there's so many things that we're doing that we could apply these same skill sets into a different industry, a different customer, a different scenario, and maybe the skill sets that we're doing right now that we think we're being successful at, maybe we could be like 10 times more successful.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, that's good.
What are you reading right now? I think I already know, but
I've got a couple things I'm reading. I pulled a couple off the shelf. One, my hide here somewhere. My wife redid all the books, so I guess it's real trendy right now. We got like the rainbow pattern up across the top, and then we've got like black and white books down below. So she'd been yelling at me to get rid of a bunch of books, and then we freed up some space, and it actually made a really cool interior design. So that was fun. A couple books that I've been looking at, or have started to read, or have read. I just pulled a few off the shelf, but anything by Malcolm Gladwell. This is one of his newer ones. I'm a little bit into this one, so we'll see how this one pans out. But I love Gladwell. I probably would have named my kid Malcolm, but it's a hard name to say, so stayed away from that. I've heard about this one. I think you and I were talking about this morning. Yeah, baby, GTD. This is the downside. We started working with another library in the area here, and so we're getting a ton of books sent in, and then we're kind of scanning through them. So it's a modified bulk operation. The downside is I keep pulling books off to read before I go to sell them. So I've heard good things about this. I think this guy was on, David Allen was on Tim Ferriss's podcast, and really fascinating listen. So if you like podcasts, check that one out. So Getting Things Done. I've not read this one yet, so I can't necessarily recommend it, but Michael Lewis did Flash Boys, talked about kind of some of the stock market type trading and some of the advantages that people were looking for. Just a really fascinating read. And he also wrote Moneyball and a number of other books. So anything by Michael Lewis, they're real accounts of real stories, and just very, very intriguing. Also wrote The Big Short. So for those of you that want to read up about 2008 and kind of how everything went off with the credit swaps and everything else, it actually is a really in-depth read as far as what happened there. And then if you guys are looking for a personal finance book or budgeting book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, Ramit Sethi. Got a wonderful blog by the same name, and you can definitely read this. I like it because instead of talking about the envelope method or pinching pennies, he really gets into the analysis of what you believe and what are you trying to accomplish with money. Like, he really iterates that money is a tool. And so we like to look at people that drive really fancy cars and say, oh, they're not really good with money. Or someone that goes out to eat coffee or drink coffee every day and spends $5 on lattes, or $10 twice a day, whatever. And it's easy to look at their habits and go, they're not good at money. And in reality, he goes, look, everybody has money dials. So there's certain things you care about that you're excited about. For me, it's spending time with friends. I enjoy good food. And he goes, there's certain areas of your life where you should turn the dials up, and don't be afraid to spend money lavishly or extravagantly, I think is the word he used, in those categories as well. So he says, look, if something's super important, if that latte is really important to your day, spend the money, don't worry about it. But if you're going to dial up some areas, dial back some others. So it's just a really interesting way of looking at money, very different than just pinch pennies and don't spend. So check that out as well. If you guys have good books that you recommend or are reading right now, drop those in the comments. I'm always looking for new books to add to my list. Actually, one of the things Ramit, I'm not quite sure how to say the name. One of the things that Mr. Sethi does, Josh Chaney says, You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero.
It's a book, yeah.
One of the things he recommends is, like, for him, he just spends money on books. And so most books on Amazon, like his book is like $10. Most books are under 20 unless they're textbooks. And one of his like personal rules is if someone recommends a book, instead of putting it on like a to-do list or to-read list, he just opens his Amazon app and just buys the book. So there's certain things like that. Don't put on a to-do list. Don't do that piece as well. Matt Rubin says, do you like history books? I do. I didn't study a ton of history in high school. We just kind of kept skipping those sections. So if you have any good recommendations, I'm all about it. Actually, Bill Martlink and I went to the World War II History Museum in New Orleans. That was extremely fascinating and very humbling as well, just to see everything that kind of went through there. John Muscarello says, Four Agreements is a quick read.
Nice. Someone asked, who is it talking about in the course? The course isn't currently available. I'm going to talk to him and see if there's some way you can put it online again, because I think it should be. But he's trying to do one-on-one coaching. His one-on-one coaching is probably rightly so extremely expensive. So it's a little out of my budget right now. But I'll see if there's some way I can get a link to that course that he used to make there.
Looking for a book. Somebody said The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan.
Great game.
The Obstacle is the Way by Lauren Messina said that. I think we met at New Orleans.
Yeah, Obstacle is the Way right here. Yeah.
I've got another one by Ryan Holiday. I haven't read this one yet either, but I've heard really good things again. So yeah, drop a couple other suggestions down there. So a couple other things as far as what you're doing in quarantine. This is now day 5 of social distancing. But one thing that Matthew and I have worked on a little bit is, and of course I missed him with my photographer because we're staying far apart, is, yeah, someone mentioned talking to strangers. We already held that one up. One of the things that you can be doing, since Amazon restricted the inbound FBA shipments right now for non-essential items or non-grocery items, and unfortunately books don't make the cut, so we can't ship FBA. So what do you do in your business right now? Obviously there's some personal development things, and Avery Martin or Romer the Romer and I did an interview on YouTube on his channel. I think Monday or Tuesday night, we talked through a bunch of personal development things. But in your business, what are some things that you can be working on? And first is learn how to merchant fulfill. I know it sounds intimidating, especially for those of us that have pretty much always done FBA. But for sure, check out how to do merchant fulfilling. Michaela, my wife, and I recorded a series of videos. I think it ended up being about 36 minutes.
36 minutes and 36 seconds.
Yeah, baby. Love it when that happens. And Matthew diligently edited everything. We recorded stuff on phones. It wasn't quite the high-tech equipment that we're used to using. And poor Matthew had to go in and do a lot of editing. So thanks for doing that. That video should go live.
Really good training. You guys will like it. That
should go later today. It's really a walkthrough of how to set up your Scout IQ triggers for merchant fulfilled, what you're looking for when you're scanning. We kind of go through the example of how to list things in Accelerlist. You can list merchant fulfilled in Accelerlist, and then how to sticker them or skew. And I'll talk about that just in a second. And then we actually show how they sell. So we listed 11 books on Monday night.
I think it was Monday or Tuesday. You said it took a little while for something. I think it was Tuesday, wasn't it?
I think we listed Tuesday night. So we're about
Friday. Yeah, I think it was Tuesday.
About 2.5 days later, we've sold 5 out of 11 books already. Now, granted, these were very good sales ranks, but merchant fulfilled is nice because those wouldn't have even been checked into Amazon just yet. And so that's just a phenomenal way to just get books. And there's certain books, if the prime bump isn't big enough, that you can actually make more money merchant fulfilling. So if you have the space, if you want to learn that skill set right now, if you want to learn how to list on eBay, by all means, take advantage of this time. Keep your business moving. And the other thing you can be doing, we'll have Matthew talk about repricing just in a little bit, but take this time to build your systems, figure out some of your repricing strategies, figure out your repricing software. And when you come out on the other end, you're going to be ready to go. You know, there's 2 ways to look at it. One is play defense and woe is me, and you know, the government shut down and the businesses are shut down and everything is going to be trouble right now. And you can run away from that and just say, hey, I'm going to go watch Netflix and binge watch things, and that's fine. Do that for a little bit, but man, get out there, take advantage, put your head down, and figure out ways to grow your business. Figure out some of the pieces that you haven't figured out yet. So for us, we've got a nice workspace, and we're starting to get more books in with some of our consignment relationships. And we're going to take advantage of the time and build some workbenches and kind of optimize our space so that when we are back online, we can really move efficiently. So don't just, like, a lot of times we always wish, oh, I wish I could just slow down. Life is too quick. Everything's moving so fast. And here's your opportunity. You got a chance to slow down, invest in yourself, work out a little bit more. I sit on my butt all day, so I need to get down on the treadmill downstairs, read some books, listen to some podcasts, try and move forward as well. So that's a really good thing. I'll give you one tip from the video that we did. I used to do merchant fulfilling back in the day, and I used to have a shelf just like this that had all the books on it, and we just went from, you know, left to right, top to bottom, etc. One way to keep track of the books, especially as your inventory grows, you can get fancy. I know some people like to put them in like banker's boxes and just label the boxes 1, 2, 3 or A, B, C, D. That way you can just open one box. There's 20 or 30 books in that box. You can easily find it. Some people like to have rows and aisles and bays and shelf numbers. That's fine too. A really poor man, I joke about it, but everything has an acronym. So PMTS, poor man's ticketing system. Go buy a roll of raffle tickets. You can get them on Amazon for 10 bucks, 8 bucks, 12 bucks, whatever it is. Get a roll of raffle tickets, the ones that you tear off. They each have a number on them, usually 5 or 6 digit number. Put that number in your SKU. If you list with Accelerlist or any listing software, match that number and just let it go up or increment by 1 every time. There it is. It looks legit when there's a acronym on the screen. But put that in your SKU. If you list directly on Seller Central, when you enter your SKU, just put that 5 or 6 digit number and then tuck that ticket just in the top of the book. So I usually have like a business card to track it, but put that ticket just kind of floating out the top of the book and then put that on your shelf. And so whatever your lowest number is works its way on the left and works its way over. As soon as a book sells in the SKU, you'll get an email from Amazon. It says, hey, this book sold, ship it now. And it'll actually have your SKU, and part of that number will be that 5 or 6 digit raffle number. Makes it really easy to find, pull it out, close the gaps up, and just keep going. So if you do want to have a poor man's system as you go about it, that's a really good way to do it. You can just write those down on a piece of paper or on a Dymo label as well. You can build your own, but I really like just kind of working that way. So that's kind of a pro tip, if you will. Side note, for those of you who are just joining, we are giving away a hat. My embroidery guy gave me this. It's too small for my fat noggin. If you are a small or medium head and this is a good color that you like, it's kind of tan. I think it's kind of bland. Don't tell him I said that. But if this is something you would wear, drop us a comment and we'll pick a winner at the end of the video and mail it.
Got to make some cool merch for embroidered hats. I want one of those in a different color.
We'll hook you up. I know a guy.
Sounds good.
All right. So
want to jump into some questions here? Or?
Yeah, we'll take some questions, and then I want to talk through kind of setting up some strategies as you move forward.
Yeah. So does rank really matter for FBM when your inventory cost is 0?
Sure. What's your labor cost? What's your time worth? Because it's going to take you 30 seconds to a minute to list the book. Then you have to store it. And sure, your house is free storage. Anywhere you can fit books, as long as your family's okay with it, you can just store the books, right? So you have to think about the time cost there. I wouldn't list books ranked 20 million when the merchant fulfilled prices are $4.50 or $5. There's really no profit to be had there. If it's 20 million and $100 book and maybe someone would ever read it again, odds of it selling are so low. But if you can, if it's worth $100 to go pick an order, then absolutely. So if you're a bulk player, it's not a bad idea to have a long tail shelf and test it. Go list not just 100, but a couple hundred, 200, 300, 400 books with whatever really ridiculous rank you think. Maybe it's 10 million, maybe it's 15 million. Go list a bunch of them. Make sure there's meat on the bone so it's worth it, and run it for 6 months and see how many you sell. Don't just list 10 books and see what happens, because your odds of selling 1 of 10 are super low at that rank.
Depends how much space you have too. Take up a lot of space sitting on long tail books like that.
Yeah, list 100 or 200 and more if you can, and just run it for 6 months. Run your own analysis, and if you sold 1 and you made $50, determine is it worth it. What's your time worth? How long did it take you to list those? Is there anything better you could do with that space? Try it. Don't just take our word for it. I don't know that it makes sense, but absolutely give it a shot.
Ben Miller here. Do you guys have any experience cross-listing Amazon to eBay, Joe Lister, InkFrog, other things? Tips and advice getting Amazon items over on eBay?
So there's several software. You just mentioned a couple of them. Joe Lister, I think, is one of the most popular that lets you list merchant fulfilled and sell into multiple platforms. Needoscan will let you do that, although they do take a healthy percentage of your overall sales, so maybe not the right solution, but they do offer that. I think Accelerlist is going to be offering something where we have cross-listing. They'll have I think it's going to be cheaper than Joe Lister, so keep an eye on that. Reach out to Travis. Someone else said they're a small and like ball caps. Send me a PM if you're interested in the hats. It's a small to a medium, tan. I'm not going to be able to see all the comments. So if you're interested, send me a PM and I'll just pick one winner there as well.
There's a few similar ones to this, listing books on eBay, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so try it. Amazon has more traffic than eBay, especially for books, but eBay is making a pretty good comeback. eBay does take a little bit. You're going to have some limitations as far as the number of books you can list or number of items until you sell enough and get those limits raised. I don't believe there's a way to get those limits raised. You can ask an account manager, but it's mostly hit or miss, usually miss. But you can list a bunch of books. The more you sell, the more that the algorithm favors your seller name. So if you can get your hands on a lot of books, you can kind of game the system that way. But try it. Again, take advantage of this time. We just like to focus on Amazon FBA, but take advantage. This is kind of your chance to go dabble and experiment and see what works. And who knows, maybe eBay becomes a big portion of your business.
Yeah. 400 square feet is pretty small to try merch to fill in. But if you have a few books and you've got some time on your hand, it's worth it to experiment with and see how it possibly works for you, even with just doing 11 books like Caleb did the other day, and see how that works and kind of get your feet wet with that while you have some time on your hands. Someone asked about a first edition Princess Bride book. So first edition doesn't necessarily make something valuable. It's first printing. So you can kind of look up on different websites and see based on the ISBN, I believe you can look at. But yeah, first printing is what's valuable, not necessarily first edition. Sometimes, depending on the book, there's millions of first editions. Sometimes there's not. It really depends on the book. I'm not sure about Princess Bride specifically.
And you can see the printing numbers is not the best example, but you can see like the printed in the US, whatever, and it's got a bunch of numbers.
Yeah.
Look that up because whatever number I believe shows up first or last. In this case, it says 15 and then it shows 14. So this is probably, I think, whatever number is on the left. For those collectible booksellers in the house, correct me because I'm probably wrong. The number on the far left here, so 15, this is the 15th printing of this particular book. So check that out. If it is a first printing, first edition, you might be onto something. You can look stuff up on Abe Books as well. The problem with that is there's a lot of books that are listed on Abe or Alibris that look really expensive. And this is what we ran into in the Springfield deal. Doesn't mean they're selling for that amount. It just means someone listed it for that. So that's something you could do as well. Matthew Rubin says the art of books is an option to do cross-platform fulfillment. So that might be something to look into as well.
Yeah.
Johnny Muscarello, if I scan Gaylords for FBA, do you think it'd be worth rescanning to look for merchant fulfilled? Possibly. So on us, and I'll actually do a video on this maybe later today, but merchant fulfilled, you can still make money on, $6 books where FBA, you really can't. And so there are some books where, let's say it's a really good ranking book. So something like Ego is the Enemy is obviously selling a lot. And let's say the FBA offer is $8 and the merchant fulfilled is $8. That might not be enough profit FBA, but it could be merchant fulfilled. So sure, there's a lot of opportunity there. Should you rescan the Gaylord? Maybe if you have nothing else to do. I don't know if you can get new shipments in. I think you're Pennsylvania, and I believe they shut the state down. So I don't think you're getting new material. So if you're sitting on old stuff, try it. Who knows? You might find a new revenue stream. And also, John, reach out because we can kind of help you with that as well.
Yeah. So I've been wanting to add FBM to my business plan, actually adding April 1st. Do I scan at thrift stores and libraries and fulfillment by Amazon or fulfillment merchant fulfilled when using Scout IQ? So which setting at the top should I scan? And I'm guessing if he's doing both is the question there.
Probably should do FBA and you'll kind of learn. So merchant fulfilled, again, it kind of depends on the weight. So merchant fulfilled is going to be, if you're using media mail, it's $2.27 for anything under a pound, and then add 53 cents per pound all the way up. So it's $2.80 for a pound-and-a-half book. Most books are going to be like, this is probably just under a pound. Most books are kind of in the 1.2, 1.3 pound range. So just as a good rule of thumb, it's going to cost you, it'll be like $3.33, I believe, to ship a book. So if you can, the fees are going to be, and I can write this down. Let me actually share my screen since we can use this cool new technology. And I'll do a video on this later as well, kind of explaining the fees, but you should be able to you can switch back and forth in Scout IQ and show FBA versus MF. We don't show both of those on the same screen, unfortunately. But let me share my screen. But you probably should scan an FBA and you'll kind of learn if there's enough meat on the bone. Can you see that okay?
Yep, got it here.
So basically the fee difference is, we can just spell them out here. So we got FBA, and it's kind of my own, not poor man, rich man's whiteboard. It's just an iPad with one of the Apple pencils, and my handwriting is not great. If anybody knows a good drawing class, I'd actually be very interested in taking one during my downtime here. So the fees, you're always going to have they used to call a final value fee, but it's going to be $1.80 for any book you sell, no matter what. You're also going to have a 99-cent fee if you're not a professional seller. I'm going to assume most of you are, so we're just going to leave that out of the equation. So your fees are always going to be $1.80. You're going to have a 15% fee. So let's say we're selling a $10 book on both examples here. 15% of 10 conveniently is $1.50, $1.50. So your fees so far are the same. Then you have shipping. And for FBA, it's going to be the basically on a 2-pound book, it's usually going to run you about $4.75. I know the fees just changed. It used to be $4.71. I think it's somewhere in that ballpark, maybe $4.80. Merchant fulfilled on that same 1.5-pound book, it's going to be media mail. It's going to be $3.33. So you do save in this case about $1.40, give or take. So you have $1.40 to play with. So assuming you can sell the books for the same price, if you can get more than $1.40 prime bump, probably makes sense to go FBA. And then of course you have inbound shipping to Amazon, which for merchant fulfilled doesn't exist. For Amazon, it's going to be, or FBA, it's going to be about $0.25 a pound. So maybe run you 30 cents. So you've got a $1.40 differential here, maybe a 30-cent differential here. And then you've got storage fee, which at home should be 0. And Amazon is going to run you maybe 2 cents a month. So nothing substantial, but for longer tail stuff, maybe it makes sense. So all in all, merchant fulfilled is actually going to save you about $1.70 at ceteris paribus, meaning all other things remaining equal. So if there is no prime bump, if the prices are roughly the same, then you probably want to do it merchant fulfilled. So the question on merchant fulfilled is how low can you go? And I'll do a video on this as well. But let's say you sell a video. Say it again.
So it'll be a dance video. How low can you go?
You do not want to see. Well, some of you do want to see me dance. It's really bad. I do not have moves. Let's say you sell a book for $6. Let's just run the numbers there. You're still going to have the $1.80 final value fee. Let's get rid of this. You're still going to have $1.80. 15%, test my math on $6 is 90 cents. Your outbound shipping is still going to be the same. And so your total fees, 26. So 603. So $6 is kind of going to be your break even. You're not going to make any money there. And we always joke about this. You can't make it up on volume if you're losing money. Bound printed matter may be an option for you to ship. You might save about 30 cents there. So you actually could get your shipping down under that, and maybe $6 is kind of your break even. But on a pound, between a 1-pound and 2-pound book, your break even is going to be about $6. So if you're scanning for FBA and looking what Scout IQ tells you, if the lowest merchant fulfilled is north of 6, there's probably skin in the game. There's probably meat on the bone. And that's just a good general back of the napkin calculation to figure out. And then these fees are fixed. They don't change. This fee changes as the rate goes up and down. So if it goes up $1 and goes to $7, it's going to cost you an extra 15 cents in fees. So 6 basically is break even. 7 is you're going to make 85 cents. And again, if you can get your shipping rates lower, if you qualify for BPM or some of the other like DHL, if you can pre-sort, you can start to get better rates. So rough back of the napkin math, $8 book is going to turn into $1.70 in profit. So that's kind of how you can just base that. If it's under a pound, the rates change a little bit because this you save 53 cents. But as a general rule, if you want to make $1 merchant fulfilled on a normal book, you got to sell it for just over $7.
No, that's really good. What do you guys think about having that drawing on the screen during the live presentation? You think that helps? I really, really like that, actually. I think it's a lot more entertaining than looking at PowerPoint slides. So I'm a fan of that so far.
Seriously, guys, if you have drawing courses, let me know. I'm really eager to see that. Someone says the lowest printing number, the publisher knocks off 1 digit each printing. So in this case, it wasn't the one on the far left. It was the one on the far right, which was 14. So yeah, check that out. If you see a number 1, you usually see a whole string of numbers like 1 through 10. If you see a number 1, I'm guessing that means it's one of the first printings as well. So yeah, a couple other people said the same thing. So that's great. Someone says, beware with cross-listing, having Amazon fulfill the orders. Amazon is really slow, even in the best of times, to send out multi-channel fulfillment orders. you need to extend your handling times. This is if you do FBA. If you merchant fulfill, you can easily cross list, because if it sells in one platform, you control the item, you get to ship it, and you can kill it on the other listing as well, so you don't accidentally sell it twice.
I think we had some questions back up at the top that we missed at the beginning, and go back through and look at some of those real fast.
Cool. Let me share while you're looking up that.
Who do you think this is? Let's take a guess real fast. I have no idea because it says Facebook user, but
what do you got? The coolest dude in Colorado. I think that's Michael Minnick. What's up, brother?
I'm guessing it probably is. We'll never know though. It just says Facebook user.
Or David Chung. There's a lot of cool Facebook.
There's a lot of cool people in Colorado.
Bill Dennis. Lots of Colorado people in the house. Let me share. Is my screen still being shared?
Yeah, we can go back to that.
Flip that up. Guys, I've talked about this before, but as you're game planning, one, take advantage of this. Mike Kreider said we had to mention, but it looks like the tax filing is going to get pushed out probably 3 months, maybe more. So you don't have to file your taxes. I believe you have 3-month hiatus, which is great. Most of you probably push back anyway and try and avoid that. But
so the actual filing day was pushed back, not just the fees they were doing at first?
I'm not sure. I think at first it was supposed to be a pushback of when you had to pay, assuming you had
that's
to
what
pay.
I thought it was at first. I bet they did change it though. It sounds about right.
Well, I know a lot of us get refunds, which I'd rather pay at the end because I don't want to give the government a tax-free loan. But if you're getting refunds, I think you still want to file earlier than later just so you can get your refunds. But if you do, Mike says filing day was pushed back. So that means you don't have to file for 3 months. And again, that may get pushed. It looks like July 15 instead of April 15.
Yeah.
So if you do get a refund, file earlier because that refund will probably come in, although they might be backed up with refunds. If you owe the government money, then let it ride. Make sure you got money set aside for that. Let me share just something real quick again. We talked about this the other day, but since I like drawing, as you guys set up, like get your accounting in order from last year if you haven't done that just yet. But another thing you can do is like set up some goals once the restrictions get listed. And you can throw up the acronym again, it looks professional, but KPIs, key performance indicators. This is something you should figure out what these are in your business. These are going to be the most leveraged items in your business, or what you need to be tracking to make sure that your business succeeds. Most people, they say, hey, I want to have a 6-figure business, right? So 6-fig biz, I want to sell. What that means is 6 figures, 100 grand or more. 6-figure business means nothing. I know a lot of businesses that sell 100 grand that have negative profit or very little profit. And we try and harp on this all the time. It does not matter what you sell. It matters what you keep. So you can share your screenshots on Instagram and brag about a 6-figure, 7-figure business. It means diddly squat, to be honest. Now, if you want to make 100 grand, you for sure need to sell at least 100 grand. So 6-figure sales is the first step towards working your way up to eventually 6-figure profit. So sales do matter in that regard, but it doesn't really matter. It matters what you bring home. So how do we build that up instead? One, you have to understand what your business model is, and that's going to be up to you. But there's 3 key metrics that we track in our business, and this might change if you're a bulk business, and they are as follows. This is for our book business. So one is number of books sourced, and we're going to assume if you source them, then you list them. So I'll say listed as well. When I started, my goal was 100 books, and I measure these on a weekly level, not a monthly level. Most businesses don't make it past a couple months, and if you're measuring these on a monthly level, it might be too late. If your business is established, you can maybe move these to monthly or quarterly, but give yourself some weekly metrics that you can try and hit, because if you can hit those, that's going to help as well. So when I first started, it was 100 books a week. That number has gone up significantly, is what our goals are. But start with some kind of goal. And again, we talk about the feeding the beast. I like to talk about it as a funnel. So Amazon's a funnel. These are books. They look like really sad squares. But what you got to do is you got to feed the beast. You got to put books into the top of the funnel. If you don't do this, nothing's going to come out the bottom of the funnel, right? So Amazon is a nice system. We don't have to find the customer. We don't have to market. The books are just going to sell. And when they sell, they come out the bottom in the form of cash, which is what we're all after in this business. You can take the cash, reinvest it into more inventory, and repeat the circle of life or inventory. So the way to measure the effectiveness, so obviously you need to put books into the funnel. If they're not good books, then you're not going to squeeze a lot of profit out the bottom end of the funnel. And so the next two metrics are related to the quality of the inventory as well as how good you are at repricing. So the other two metrics that we track and that we talk about, you should probably be setting these up as well, are turn rate. This is going to be a percentage. And turn rate is simply number of books sold divided by number in inventory. Technically, it should be an average number of inventory, but you can just take the inventory at the end of the week. If you want to run these every Saturday night, every Sunday night, pick one day of the week, go into Amazon, look at your inventory. If it's 1,000 units and the previous week you sold 50 units, that is a 5% turn rate. Your weekly target, again, measure these weekly. Weekly in this business, most merchant fulfilled sellers like to be in the 1% range per day or higher. So probably a 7 to 10% rate. That's a little high for FBA. If you want to price high and wait for the prime bump, you should be looking probably at 4 to 5%. And these numbers do vary seasonally. If you're textbook heavy, you're going to have much higher turn rate or sell-through rate during textbook season. If you're not as textbook heavy, obviously you'll have some doldrums in February and March like we are right now. And then, of course, we got the pandemic on top of it. So number of books sourced, are we putting good material into the funnel? Turn rate, are you selling an adequate number of books? And then last but not least is the quality of the sale, average sale price. So this is going to be measured in dollars. If you're running a bulk business, you're typically going to be somewhere in the $10 to $12 to $13 range. If you're way higher than that, you're probably not listing all the books you could or should be. And if you're cherry picking, you can probably be in the $17 to $22 range. That matters because the higher your ASP, the more money goes back into your pocket, because most of these fees that we just showed you on Amazon are fixed. If we can go back a page, this fee is fixed, this fee is fixed, you know, the shipping. So the 15% changes, but that's it. So the higher price you sell, the more money of that you're capturing versus lower books, you're just making Amazon rich. So those are the three metrics you should be looking at. And what I'd recommend doing is, you don't need any fancy equipment. You don't need to pay for the tracking spreadsheet. I'm not trying to sell you anything here. Set up something up here where you just measure your weeks, put it on a whiteboard, put it on a spreadsheet. You got week 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Carry that all the way out for a year, and then measure those metrics. So measure, say, how many did I list? So books listed, turn rate, and ASP. And start measuring these weekly and come back and then set some targets. So if you're a bulk seller, you know that maybe you want to be listing 500 books a week. See if you hit that goal. The next week you got 450, you didn't quite get there. What can you do to improve that? Turn rate, you're probably not going to sell anything your first week unless you're merchant fulfilling, and then start tracking that rate. And if your turn rate is really high, it means you're probably not listing, you're either pricing way too low, right? Or you're not listing books with a high enough sales rank. So be careful on that as well. And then ASP, again, you're not selling anything your first week, and look at it here. If you're selling 12%, your ASP is only $7 FBA. That's not a good thing as well. These two rates, so listing is just, you have to do it. What are you putting in the top of the funnel? This is the inputs up here. This is the outputs down here. And these two are usually what we call inversely related. So as turn rate goes up, your ASP probably goes down. And if turn rate goes down, because you're pricing them highly and waiting for the sales, your ASP can go up. There's no right way to manage this. There's no perfect way to optimize it. It's what's right for your business. If you need cash flow right now, if you need to get some money turned, if you need to get some feedback, you might dial your turn rate, kind of like those money dials we talked about earlier. Your turn rate might get dialed up, and your ASP will probably suffer as a result, but that might be an acceptable outcome given the scenario. And if you have limited books and you want to try and make as much money as you can, and you're fine waiting on them to sell, then you might dial this back where turn rate goes down, but you're protecting your ASP. So those are kind of the things you can manage. Track those on a weekly level, and you'll get a much clearer picture into the outcome of your business. So that's enough Khan Academy for me. I like the mention there, Trevor. I'm done drawing, but those are some key metrics you can be tracking. Matthew, you want to give us a couple tips on repricing?
Yeah, we can talk about repricing for a little bit. Repricing is something that's a great thing to do right now, because like Caleb was just talking about, the metrics you can track are books sourced or books listed into your account, your turn rate, and then your average sale price. Right now, where you can't list anything into our account, so what are we stuck with? The things we can control, our turn rates, and then our average sale price. In a sense, we can control it's somewhat of the books you're listing into your account, but you can keep a monitor on the inventory health right now by repricing the books you do have, keeping that turn rate going. Don't let your books get stale. If you have extra time, invest into tracking your numbers. Like Caleb said, maybe get the tracking spreadsheet if you don't have that, and repricing is a great thing to do as well. For those of you that maybe are new to repricing, there's kind of 3 different ways you can go about it. You can do it manually, and we have a video. Let me see if I have it linked here. I don't think I have it linked here. We have a video on how to do it manually. Caleb made a video on the Book Flippers YouTube channel. If you guys are on YouTube, you can just click on the Book Flippers channel. If not, just go to type in the Book Flipper on YouTube on how to use Chrome extensions to kind of speed up the process of repricing manually, looking at your managed inventory page. Another option is using an API style repricer that does it automatically in the background. The downside of this is that you're going to have a lot of blind spots because they can only see the lowest 15 to 20 offers. A lot of times the prices you want to be hitting are above that. And then there's that middle ground, the software Caleb and I have called New Price, which is kind of the benefits of doing it manually, where you can see all the information, but you can reprice in a single click instead of opening up new tabs and going back and forth. And so it's kind of a middle ground there where you kind of get a blend of that efficiency and also a blend of seeing all the details you want on the page. So check out New Price. If you have not, it'd be a good time to mess around with it if you have some downtime and reprice your inventory. And then, yeah, track your numbers too. I've been going back through my tracking spreadsheet, and I've known for a while there's a few issues I've had in there. I've just been putting it off because I haven't gone back and had the time to do it. Now I'm going back through and trying to correct some of those things, make sure all my numbers are in line, which is also perfect for tax season coming up and getting your numbers ready there. So focus on repricing right now and the things you can control, such as moving your inventory. And then do you want to get into the special announcement, Caleb, or you want to hold off on that and do a few more questions first?
We can just announce that, and then we'll take a few questions to round out and kind of kill this at around an hour or so.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, we're already 52 minutes into it right now. So yeah, let me share my screen. If you want to talk it up for just a second, Caleb, and kind of give the idea behind this, I'll get my screen ready.
Yeah, so one of the things is we talk about education or how you can kind of improve what you're working on. And so we wanted, to that end, we wanted to actually roll out some of our training and wrap it up within the Scout IQ web portal. So for those of you who are sitting back, maybe you haven't decided to sell on Amazon yet, or maybe you tried it and realized you didn't really know what you were doing and just kind of quit. We're trying to make the training, thanks Ben for the shout out. We're trying to make training accessible. So there's tons of training out there. You can buy courses, you can watch YouTube videos until you're blue in the face. Yep. There's hours and hours, hundreds of hours, thousands of hours of content. What we did is we tried to streamline the content and be able to teach you how to go from not knowing how to sell on Amazon to understanding how to set up your account, go scouting for books. We actually take you into a thrift store and show you how to scout for books and kind of show you what we're looking at on the screen, how to make good decisions. So how to scout, then we show you how to list using Accelerlist, and then how to kind of manage stuff after that. So we kind of built it as like a 4-week training program, but you can go through it at your own pace. And we are actually rolling that out for free to Scout IQ users. It's going to be in the web portal. Matthew, if you want to share the screen there as well.
Yeah, I got it right here. So you'll see this on your web portal in Scout IQ, just app.scoutiq.co, your normal web portal you go to for all your triggers and stuff. There'll be a training tab at the top. And we've got a getting started here, kind of a sourcing thing right here. We've got listing we're covering, and then we have selling we're covering down here. And we'll be adding some videos to this, webinars like this that we're doing right now. We'll try and have a tab, and we'll start adding those in a different tab there so you guys can keep track of these trainings easier. Because I noticed a couple days ago going back through, even though we've done these trainings on the Facebook page and on YouTube, they're kind of tough to track down amongst all the other things, announcements and stuff like that. So we'll try and add a new tab here for these type of trainings, and you guys can kind of have a getting started template just to look at a little more information, especially while you guys have downtime on sourcing and listing and selling. One of my favorite parts about all of this is the thrift store sourcing run we see right here in sourcing, where Caleb and I went to an actual thrift store. We recorded the process. So if you're brand new or you're newer, or you haven't really gone to a thrift store yet, that's a really good training right there on that. But we just, like Caleb said, wanted to make this
there. So we actually reached out to it's kind of a Friends of the Library thrift store. Many of you in the Denver area probably know what we're talking about, or you'll recognize it. we actually reached out to the ladies that ran it and said, hey, we want to come in. Is there a chance we can come in like an hour before you open and just shoot some videos? And they said, yeah, that's fine. We're here anyway, stocking shelves. So we got in there early. We brought them some gift cards and said, thanks for letting us in. We got to have free reign of scouting and kind of beat all the other people to the books that day. So if you guys want to, go in under the guise, this is totally a joke, by the way, but go in under the guise of shooting some videos, you might be able to get some of that coveted backroom access or kind of have a private sale all to yourselves as well. So check that out. We wanted to make the training all in one spot, make it really easy to go from, hey, I don't know how to scout, I don't know how to sell on Amazon. We're teaching you the very basics as it relates to books. And then even if you are selling on Amazon, there's probably a bunch of good tips and tricks you can pick up from that training as well. So we wanted to make that available, no extra charge. It's just included with your Scout IQ subscription, and just kind of give you no excuses. As there's some downtime, you can keep working on things as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I covered this. So go check that out. For those of you that have Scout IQ, you can go check that out in the portal. It is live right now. We do have a few other quick questions if we want to tackle those next couple minutes here.
A couple. If you guys have a lot of questions, drop them here. Otherwise, drop them in the comments later. We'll come back and
let's
answer.
See here. Let's going through here. Got one on Sell Back Your Book right here from Josh.
What's the average cost they're paying on a box of books? A full box of books is going to be 40 to 50 pounds. I think they use media mail. The problem with media is they end up losing 1 out of 5 boxes or it gets damaged. But media mail runs roughly 50 cents a pound. It doesn't matter how close you are to the location. So they're in the Chicago area. It doesn't matter if you're California or next door in Naperville or something. The cost is the same. So it's fairly budget friendly. You don't need huge volume discounts to qualify. You just get I think it's like 52 or 55 cents a pound. So a 40-pound box is going to run roughly 20 bucks, give or take. If you do have significant volume, UPS and FedEx will, you can get better rates, probably in the $10 to $15 range, depending on zones. So that's an option for you. Actually, side note, UPS was calling us this week. We're getting calls from like cruise ship companies. UPS was calling. Everybody's trying to drum up new business during this downtime. So UPS was trying hard to our business. And the nice part is you can kind of pit FedEx and UPS against each other and try and get really good rates.
Yeah, my workout partner was about to sign a lease for a car for his son. He hadn't signed the papers yet, but they had them all drawn up. He knew exactly what it cost each month. And while we were working out the other morning, he saw an advertisement on TV from the same dealership for a lower fee than he was about to sign for. So now I could use that as leverage to get a lower lease right now. It's significantly lower too, which is funny. So now he gets to renegotiate because they're trying to get their prices down and get more people in there. So
yeah, it's a tough time, where people are talking about trying to support small businesses during this time. And I guess no one likes car dealers. So that's something you can kind of negotiate hard. Sorry for all our car dealer friends. But yeah, look, make sure you're taking care of your families. Make sure you got food on the table. Make sure you got a good plan, because this thing could be several months at this point. It looks like China and some of the other countries are turning around, but we need to be prepared for a significant downturn. It looks like Amazon says we can't ship FBA through April 5, so 2 weeks from now. My hunch is that may last longer, depending on the state of everything. One other note for Turn the Page, that we're supposed to be doing one in Denver, May 15 and 16. We will, of course, give refunds on that. We're going to continue to monitor. We'll probably make a call in the next week or so, depending on how things turn out. Most of our restaurants will be closed to the public still through mid-May. We're kind of on a two-month or 8-week type hiatus for the city of Denver. So we'll monitor that one. If we end up canceling it, we'll just probably postpone and put to a different date. Denver's obviously our backyard. It's really easy. We've got a great venue. We were going to do the social event actually at our house, have a bonfire, kind of hang out in our lab, show you our book setup, and maybe get a tour of David Chung's warehouse if he's up for it. I know he's kind of a private gentleman.
Fingers crossed there, right?
Huh?
So fingers crossed there, right? Maybe we'll get it sneak in there.
I know what it is, so maybe we'll kind of sneak in there. But
you might have to beat him at pool first.
Exactly. So keep an eye. If you guys have already bought tickets for that event, we're going to make a call on that in the next week. And of course, we'll give you a full refund. And most of the travel industry should be offering full refunds as well. So any last questions? Otherwise, we'll kind of wind this down. Thanks for spending an hour with us. I know that many of you are pent up at home. I'm a huge sports junkie, so the cancellation of March Madness was a major bummer. It's kind of a bummer. I mean, really, it's like someone took Christmas away. So I've been watching old sports clips and watching old games and YouTube clips and everything else, trying to salve that pain.
That's why we got these videos up for you guys. Now, if you guys are used to watching sports, you can go binge watch some sourcing and scouting videos instead that maybe you haven't seen before. To talk about Sell Back Your Book is still taking orders. Yes, at this time they said they are still taking orders.
Yep. If you do have stuff, you might want to get that sent right now. There's no guarantee that the post office and everything else is going to stay open and keep shipping. I think they will stay open just because everybody needs to order stuff on Amazon. Walmart online is going to be doing well. But definitely ship stuff in. If you're a bulk customer, get that sent in as well. That can be something you can get moving. Sell Back Your Book is a good option right now too, since you can't send in to FBA. There's a lot of books that you might make $4 profit FBA and they're going to pay you $3. You might just want to take that money. So go through your inventory. If you're sitting on a bunch, that might be a great option. Just monetize Book Scouter as well.
This is recorded for those of you that want to know if you can rewatch it. There'll be a recording on Facebook, on the Book Flippers channel, and on my YouTube channel. So pretty much anywhere you go, you'll see a recording of this video, which is kind of cool. So it'll be up right after this. Normally it processes for like 10 or 15 minutes, and then it will show up as a ability to rewatch it.
Yep. Yeah, so that'll be available later. Josh says, yeah, so sad about March Madness. We're calling it March Sadness. Yeah. I had a friend give me last minute tickets to Michigan State's senior game. It was their last home game or last game of the season. And they beat Ohio State. They won a share of the Big Ten title after kind of a disappointing season. And we got to go to that game. I'm a big Michigan State guy. And it turns out that was the last game for Cassius Winston and some of the other seniors. So that was nice to see. Connor George and Kyle Ahrens, and then Josh Langford might be coming back for any of you Michigan State fans. So that was a big bummer, but at least we got to see that last game in person. Of course, going to a giant crowded arena with everything going on maybe wasn't the smartest move. But yeah, guys, take advantage of this time. I know it's a bummer. It's harder to get stuff done. Maybe your regular business is on hold. Find ways to think outside the box. We'll have our merchant fulfilled video coming out soon, so check out the Book Flipper community. We'll post it in Facebook as well. Work on your personal development, clean up your space, get ready, be prepared to come out the other side of this strong. We're going to bounce back. We always do. And we'll be here for you when things free up.
Definitely. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for all being here. Like I said, replays will be available right after this if you were just tuning in now and you missed it. So those will be up shortly. But yeah, thank you guys for being here, and we'll talk to you guys again soon.
Peace.